Hey everyone, Anime here. So I'm going to be talking about chapter 3 of KYOKUTO Necromance. Now this third chapter was actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie, the second chapter wasn't that great. It didn't really hook me. It just wasn't my thing. But this third chapter, I feel like it really moved the plot along and it developed the characters pretty well as well. So we go to this sorcery society hall in Tokyo and we get to see like a bunch of characters. One that stood out was this guy named Mr. Mezu, and he's one of the council directors, and he's pretty interesting. He immediately starts talking to Yoji, and he says that he immediately recognizes Itsuki's kid, which is the main character, and at the same time we get an idea of how not just him, like not just this guy, but how the entire department looks at Yoji, which is that his skills are top class, and that's why they let him basically do whatever he wants. The other characters also look interesting, but so far nothing to really say about them. I do think it's important that the other character that talked is that edgy looking person. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but like the person that says, Yoji, you're so lame. I know that you and Mr. Uno were partners. The person reveals that there's some sort of like revenge motivation for Yoji when it comes to the main character's dad. So the fact that that person is also someone who says something means that most likely Mr. Mezu and that person is going to be like the more important characters just off the bat. Otherwise, I don't really see why the author would give them dialogue, to be honest. So that's going to be interesting. And also what I really liked the most about this chapter was this, someone killed the main character's dad plot. So that feels like a far better motivation than wanting to heal the grandma. No offense to the grandma, I have nothing against grandmas, but it's just not that interesting of a hook because we don't really know the grandma. And yeah, we don't really know the dad either, but that's not the point. Like, there's no mystery in terms of like what's going on with the grandma, but there's like all this mystery when it comes to the father because apparently he was killed, right? So that's pretty good, and I thought that really upped the intrigue in this story. I think prior to this specific moment, I wasn't that into it, but I feel like this was like the moment where I was like, okay, I'm keen to see where this story goes. Now, another moment that stands out is, well, this is kind of standard, the main character, like they assess his power level, and it's off the charts, obviously. So, yeah, standard, that's alright. Another thing that I really liked is there is this kind of perspective from all these people in the council that Yoji is just kind of like using the main character in a certain way to kind of fulfill his own revenge motive. But the main character does reassure him that he's not getting forced to do anything and all of it is strictly about himself. So I thought that was pretty good. It gives him a bit more of like agency in the story, which is nice. Like, you don't want like a main character who's just, floating along by the wind. You want him to have a certain level of self-interest so he himself is interesting. Now, Yoji does say to Mr. Mezu that the person who's actually dwelling on Mr. Itsuki, so the main character's dad, is him. I think this is half true. So Mr. Mezu is dwelling on this relationship maybe a bit too much in terms of when deciding to incorporate the main character into his squad. So he's dwelling on that part for that purpose, but I'm pretty certain that, Yoji has his own personal connection with the father and all that stuff, and I definitely think that all influences him. Otherwise, I don't see why the author would make the death of the father like something important. Or like if it adds to like the value of that, because now it's not just the main character who's affected by it, it's also this guy as well. And they seem to be the two main characters, so having both of them kind of intertwined by this other person is a pretty good idea. There was also a good discussion when they were in the car where, well, Yoji talks about like doing a favor, and when someone does a favor for you, you want to pay them back. And Yoji says that I think the same works for revenge. So I think that's kind of interesting. Like, is he saying that the main character's dad essentially, like, he was killed because it was revenge for something else, and then they're trying to get revenge for him? Like, is that what they're trying to say, or is it just more of a general statement? So yeah, I'm keen to see where that goes. And yeah, Yoji looks really pleasant when he's listening to a song that his dad would play. So not his dad, sorry, the main character's dad would play. So yeah, definitely they have a pretty like close connection, and he's definitely holding his cards to his chest. And yeah, the chapter ends with what our foe is going to be for the next chapter, I'm guessing. Just this, like this, well, the face looks kind of like a mask and there's stuff jetting out of it, and it's holding like these little puppets. I don't really know what to call it, but yeah, it looks menacing. Yeah, keen to see what happens next. But yeah, this was a good chapter. Definitely my favorite out of the three. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to say than that. So thanks for listening.